Brad Swaney's 1971 C10, Shell to Masterpiece. Brad Swaney is a young builder in the car world who is in fact only in his early 20s, but he has already proven himself as a top-tier builder. Brad grew up around cars, helping his dad Mike do bodywork on projects long before he could even drive. The shared passion for cars brought him and his father close together, so close that they knew they wanted to build cars together full-time. Just a few years ago, they followed this dream and opened a successful hot rod shop known as Heyman Creations. Brad has now worked on many classic cars and trucks of all models, doing all sorts of modifications, but there's one extra special build to him and his career. The build in question is his 1971 Chevy C10, which he started on when he was only 14. The build quickly went from making it a reliable daily driver to an immaculate bumper-to-bumper custom build that any car lover would kill to own. Brad's father had owned the truck since 1993 but had too many other projects on the go, so he gave the truck to Brad. Even at 14, Brad was not afraid to dive headfirst into the build. In the first few months, he had already had the truck apart and was fixing, prepping, and painting various parts. This is the point when he knew this truck wasn't just going to be another C10. It was going to be something special. Still wanting an older truck to daily drive, Brad ended up buying a 1989 Chevy off his grandfather. Even this truck had a cool backstory. His great-grandfather bought it new in '89, then passed it down to his grandfather. Clearly the Chevy bug runs deep in this family. If only vehicles could talk, the stories and memories they would share would keep any car guy entertained for years. After taking some time to fix up the '89, Brad got back to work on the C10, starting with the frame. The frame of the truck is highly modified and customized. All pitting and unnecessary holes were patched or filled. The rear end was C-notched and the front cross members were narrowed 2 inches to make room for some gigantic 295/35 R20 tires on 8x10 wheels. Those are big tires even for the back of some people's rides, but Brad thought he could fit 34 30 R20 rear tires, and that is exactly what he did. To make sure those tires were even more in your face, he wrapped them around 20x12 billet specialty turbine wheels. Ensuring his truck didn't twist itself in half, he added a heavy-duty center frame stiffener he hand-built out of roll bar tubing. The stiffener snakes its way under the cab, around the drive shaft, and then to the trailing arm crossmember. The truck has a Classics Performance product suspension setup with a 4.5-inch drop in the front and a 7-inch drop in the back, giving that aggressive and menacing stance. The amazing thing about this truck is that this isn't even the first frame the truck was on. To appreciate the true magnitude of this build, let's jump ahead in this story. When my truck was getting closer to getting finished, I decided I wanted to take it to the World of Wheels in Pittsburgh. So for a few months before that, all I did was work on my truck. I didn't work on any customer cars at all, just my own. Leading up to the World of Wheels, it was going to be close if I'd even get it done or not. I was up all night leading to the World of Wheels working on it. I took it to the show without the bumper and set it up, and then took the bumper down the morning before the show and started putting it on there. I wanted to get in the Steel City 6, which is the top 6 of the show, and I fell short of that, but ended up winning best truck overall out of all the trucks that were there. I got the judging sheet from them, and there were very minor things they didn't like, and one of those things was my frame had orange peel on it, says Brad. At this point is when Brad said to himself that he was going to remove the frame he started with and make the whole new one mentioned above to ensure he was satisfied with every tiny detail. You need a lot of power to get big wheels like that spinning, so Brad went with a Chevy 454. Even with the power of a big block, he wanted to squeeze out all the horsepower he could get, so he bored the engine out 30 over. An engine like this needs to guzzle a lot of air as well as gas, so it has an Edelbrock Performer RPM intake manifold topped with a 650 CFM Holly Street Avenger carb. Hedman ceramic coated headers married to a custom 3-inch polished stainless steel exhaust sink through a MagnaFlow exhaust to make sure the aggressive but beautiful sound of the truck matches everything else on it. All this doesn't matter in the end though if the truck doesn't move, so Brad went with a strong and reliable GM TH700 R4 transmission to get that power to the wheels. With all this power, the truck needs some serious brakes to rein in the Chevy 454, so Brad went with Classic Performance product 13-inch disc brakes all the way around. As many car guys can relate, Brad knew exactly how he wanted things and was not going to compromise until it was perfect. He took his time to add his unique touch to countless aspects of the build. Starting at the front, Brad masterfully smoothed out the entire engine compartment, including the wheel wells and the entire firewall. Filler panels were even made between the grille and core support so there are no odd gaps. To ensure this look wasn't interrupted by wiring other lines, Brad routed them out of sight. However, he left his hand-built, polished custom AC and heater lines in view, which complement all the other polished aluminum parts such as his billet aluminum hood hinges from Eddie Motorsports. This ultra sleek look continues throughout the entire body. The washer openings in the cowl were removed and reworked to match the ribs in the rest of the cowl. The interior features leather seats and other leather accents. The gauge cluster is hand built by Brad to house his custom autometer shop gauges. The truck has all the creature comforts such as vintage air, power seats, heat, and so on. Of course, the center console would be custom to match the aesthetic and keep the sleek theme going. With the ignition switch, wiper switch, headlight switch, and the USB port for the radio hidden inside the console. Now to the cab. The drip rails were removed from the roof and the front of the roof was modified to better match up with the windshield. The rear roof seam was removed to continue that magnificently clean look. The door jambs were welded solid so there are no visible seams anywhere near the doors. Matter of fact, any seam, bump, or hole on the truck that could be filled was filled. The side markers were flush mounted, stake pockets smoothed over, and fuel filler cap relocated to the bed. Then the rear wheel wells were widened by 3 inches and ribs were added to make sure they match perfectly with the bed floor. Speaking of the bed floor, it is a handcrafted work of art. The bed floor is built like a fine china cabinet, with Brad saying, "I wanted something different in the bed floor than just typical oak or something. I really like black walnut and couldn't find a kit that I really liked. So my father and I went to the sawmill and bought rough cut black walnut boards, a planer, and decided to make it ourselves. I get asked all the time if it's real wood. I put 2 coats of clear on, then sanded to keep filling the grain until it was fully filled in. Some boards have 6 coats and some have 8 coats of clear. Then it was sanded, smoothed, and buffed." Brad had a color in his head he knew he wanted, but he couldn't find it in any chip books or anywhere. So of course, using his ingenuity, he turns to a die-cast Willy he had that was the perfect color. With the Willys in hand, Brad went to a paint store when they scanned the paint and kept mixing colors until it matched the Willys perfectly. Now with paint in hand, Brad and his father got to work painting. The painting took them 2 days, turning out great, but Brad wanted it perfect. So then they spent the next 3 weeks buffing it until it was mirror quality. There is no doubt that with all this time, energy, and passion, that this truck and Brad were going places, and that is exactly what they did. After winning Best Truck at the 2018 Pittsburgh World of Wheels show, Brad wanted to get that truck to SEMA and compete for the Battle of the Builders. At the start, he was having a hard time seeing how he could get there, but as the truck gained the much deserved attention, he was featured on the cover of the Summit Racing catalog. With this new relationship, he was able to get a spot in the Summit booth at SEMA. Can you guess what happened at SEMA? Brad and his masterpiece of a C10 ended up winning the Young Guns Battle of the Builders and got top 4 in the Battle of the Builders. Since then, Brad and his C10 have been featured in countless magazines and have won countless other awards, most recently receiving a Good Guys Truck of the Year late finalist for 2021 in York, PA. This goes to show that age does not matter. If you have the heart and the passion, you can achieve success at a young age. It further shows that you don't have to be a big shop to build great rides. A father and son turn their passion into their business, and it may not be the most known shop or the largest, but it can compete with any shop out there. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. There are a lot more articles on the way and you don't want to miss them. Go give us a follow on TikTok and Instagram at Gateway Rides to see everything else we have going on. Also check out our website gatewayrides.ca for more long form content and ways to support the Rider Nation. Thank you for listening. Until next time, keep riding on.